The Stack, People, Business, Technology, with Dan Tomaszewski of Everything MSP.
Hello, everybody. Dan Tomaszewski here with Everything MSP. I hope you're doing great today. We're here to talk about this week's episode of The Stack, where we talk about people, business, and technology. Now, we're going to tackle today a topic that's vital for the long-term success for any MSP, and that's consistency in building and maintaining a well-rounded growth stack. And I did say growth stack, and that's a term that we're going to talk a bit more about today. And ultimately, what it comes down to is it's easy to get caught up in the daily grind and forget about the importance of having a solid and consistent approach to growth. But without this, many MSPs find themselves stuck in the crests and valleys of inconsistent business results. Now, what we're going to do is going to bring in today's guest here. We've got Eric Weber with Mindmatrix, and let's go ahead and bring Eric in here today.
The Stack, People, Business, Technology, with Dan Tomaszewski of Everything MSP.
Hello, everybody. Dan Tomaszewski here. Welcome to this week's episode of The Stack, where we focus on people, business, and technology. Today, we're talking about a vital topic for the long-term success of any MSP, which is consistency in building and maintaining a well-rounded growth stack. And yes, I said growth stack, which is a term we're going to talk a bit more about here today. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day grind. As we know it, there's always tickets to be done. There's always some type of fire that we're working with. But we must never forget the importance of having a solid, consistent approach to growth. Because without this, many MSPs find them stuck in the crests and valleys of inconsistent business results. And we're going to bring in a special guest today. We have Eric Weber with Mindmatrix. Eric, how you doing today?
Hey, Dan. Thanks for having me on here. It's good to be here today. Doing pretty good. Yourself?
I'm doing great. It's great to have you here. We've gotten to know each other over the past several years, seeing each other at conferences.
Yep.
And it's great to see Mindmatrix is a sponsor here on Everything MSP. And we're here to talk about marketing, though. It's a critical area that you and I both have a lot of passion about.
Everybody's favorite topic.
Yes. I mean, when you think about, when you think about MSP, I mean, in my eyes, I always think about marketing right away, right? The M is marketing because, otherwise you're just a service provider and nobody knows about. Yeah, exactly. Nobody knows about all the great things you do. And if you could, as we get started here, maybe give a quick background about your role at Mindmatrix and what you do for our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're based here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pretty much been in Western PA my whole life. But I joined Mindmatrix in January of 2015. So coming up on a 10-year anniversary here in a few months.
Nice.
I can't believe it's been that long.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you have something that works and a good group of people, I mean, as the saying goes, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So that's right. You learn that when you get older. But
yeah, exactly.
Been director of sales here. Done a lot within that role. Business development, going to shows, setting up demos, doing demos, closing them. Ideas for marketing, anything that's needed. For the growth. Yeah. You have multiple people. We all have our little specialties within there, but you kind of got to know a little bit of what everybody else does as well, too, to really form together and create a really cohesive unit. So I think when you've had a bunch of people around like that for so long, you get what you get. You get a well-oiled machine. And back to the consistency, one of our topics here today. That's what you need if you're going to make a run of it.
Yeah, and and I think the challenge for many MSPs is, truly is marketing. I think first and foremost, there's always a confusion between sales and marketing being the same role, and there are two separate and distinct roles. But when we take a specific look at marketing, what would you say, or what are some of the most important issues that MSPs have when it comes to growth and their growth?
Well, I would say over the amount of demos that I have done here, probably pushing around 3,000, some of them easily.
Wow.
I do start to see some commonalities amongst them. One of the biggest ones is consistency. I'll talk to, managed service providers that have tried a little bit of this, they've tried a little bit of that, and it doesn't work. And then just get put off by it in total, which totally understandable. If I'm trying to do a project at my house and it's not really my forte, I'm trying different things, I'm going to get frustrated and just say the heck with it.
Right.
So you got to give it time. And it is the hardest thing to do when you're patiently waiting for something to take hold, wondering if it's going to, or if it's not, or you're on the right track without trying to pick and prod at it a little bit or tweak it.
Yeah.
You just got to let it go in the background a little bit. And that is something that it'll kill it. I mean, it really will. You got to have a good long-term plan. At least I would say 8 to 18 month horizon on that. And then truly, when you're done, okay, what are the results? I mean, check it, we're 50, 75% of the way through, but you got to be consistent. Have to let things take time. If you're not ready to do that, I don't know if you should delve into anything else. I mean, it's because there's no short, quick fixes. If it was, we'd all be billionaires by now. It
Right.
takes time. The patient ones win at the end.
Yeah, and and I think and I know I mentioned this in the past, but in a perfect world, we could be doing door knocking, and there's a sticker on someone's door that says that they get it, they understand it, and they're ready for It doesn't work that way, right? I mean, we
Nah.
have to clear through the clutter,
Oh, yeah.
and identify who is a perfect fit for us, and essentially, I mean, growth also isn't just about adding new clients. It's
Right.
about continuously improving every aspect of your business. And the mindset ensures that you're always looking for ways to enhance your service offerings, optimize your operations, and to better serve your clients. But I guess, a follow-up question that I have for you is, how can an MSP keep their growth efforts consistent even when they have a lot of work on their plate? Because I think that is a common thing that, one, hey, I've got enough business today, or two, hey, some of this marketing is working, so I'm going to pull back so that I can do the work I have. But how do they work through that?
Well, having too much business on your plate, those are what we call good problems.
Yes.
Because there's some that don't have enough on their plate, and they would like some of that. So,
Yep.
but I think for when you have too much going on right now, it's like, the thought of pushing out there, bringing even more in, I got to get more people, this, that, and the other. You don't want to turn that sales engine off, because there is going to come a time when you don't have enough, and you're going to need that pipeline to push through it. And when you have all of that business, currently going on right now, it's okay to keep nurturing people. Let them know what you're up to, hold stuff, because it's okay if these ones take time, because you got too much going on right now. Let them warm up, just like a prospect in the minor leagues. When they're ready, you bring them up, but you keep your eye on them throughout the time. Look at any championship team; they all have farm systems. Why? Because they got to replace it at some point. They know that there's a constant string feeding into that. Because let's say when you do finish up work, okay, we're going to go do some marketing. You're going to sit in your hands and wait. Back to point number one earlier, you got to give it time to work. Let those things work while you're too busy. It's just, this might be stupid to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I mean, when I'm doing chores around the house, I throw the laundry and then I go do my chores while it's in the laundry, so I'm not wasting another hour afterwards. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's working. I mean, you could either sit there and stare at your washing machine
Hmm.
and waiting for it to be done, or, you can let it nurture itself, clean itself, and get to a point where it will be done while you're accomplishing other things, and you're taking care of your existing clients.
Yeah, and
And-
time's valuable anyway. I mean, it's a one commodity we can never get back.
right.
It
I mean,
was,
if we could sell it in a bottle, I mean, again, we'd be billionaires.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I was reading the other day. I forget where it was at. Probably LinkedIn, but they were saying there are 48 billion email users in 2024.
Wow.
So even though with ways to get in front of people, people think email trips, it's still the number one. I see
Yeah.
everything that comes into my inbox every day. I might not see a PPC ad or something here and there, but that
Right.
inbox, it's always up. And when it's not, it's right there on the phone. It's always with you.
Yeah. We're
So
always connected.
so even if you have too much going on right now, dial it back a bit. Even if
Yep.
the fear of maybe bringing in too much too quick too soon, slow your drips down. Maybe put them in 21 days or 30 days, and maybe just keep it to the email so they still know what's happening. Because whatever you have nurtured up to this point, you don't want to nurture them for somebody else to swoop in and get them. Like you've done the work.
Exactly. And we mentioned in my intro the word growth stack, and I think this is a term that we really need to talk more about because we are and always have been so focused on our MSP tool stack.
Mm-hmm.
But have we ever thought about the word growth stack and marketing stack in a way that we truly should and embrace and have passion about, and trying to identify what tools should be part of that growth stack? What would you say are some of the most common mistakes that MSPs make when working to create their growth stack?
Well, what I would say here, Dan, is that when there's something that's outside your wheelhouse, so if you're an MSP, you're a tech guy, you need sales and marketing because you have to have revenue to drive the business. But that's not your wheelhouse there. If you Google sales and marketing help for MSPs, I mean, you're probably going to get 100 different options. And if you take
Yeah,
100 calls, they're probably all going to be good, probably all going to sound great. But afterwards, you're sitting there punch drunk. It's like, well, they all sounded good, and I'm even more confused than when I came in to begin with.
right.
Which we don't want. Everyone wants to put their best, foot out there, which I get. So it comes back to education, simplifying things. And, I often tell people at the end of demos, don't let perfect get in the way of good,
Yep.
because you can spend forever trying to perfect something. And with MSPs and being in tech, it's easier to reduce things down to numbers, X amount here with this there. When you're building out your systems or your flows, I have a ticket run through here. It's these different things. Like it's very, very regimented.
Yep.
So when you're getting into something like a growth stack here, think of it like a golf game. You got three parts, for any of the golfers out there. You got to drive, short game, and putt. But you got to do a little all three if you're going to play a hole. You just can't get
Yep.
up to the green and pick up your ball and, walk the hole too. I mean, you could, but some people might give you some.
It's frowned upon. Yeah.
Yeah, you might get some smarks,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did a presentation a couple of years ago where I broke this down and came back to basics. And I'm not going to tell anybody anything they probably don't already know, but formulating in this way might help provide some clarity, which I really hope it does. So for those three different pieces, the top people, and think of this as like a funnel. So on top, who are your ideal client profiles? What do you want to go after? Dentists, attorneys, not just everything. Now, if it's coming your way, sure, if the money's green, take it. But when you're going to order off the menu, we all pick something that we like. We don't pick stuff we don't like, right?
Sure.
So for
I
your
like
ideal
that.
client profile, yeah, this is your lead generation and business development. Good SEO to get people to your site. Downloadable objects on your website to create leads. whether you're going out to local networking events, Chamber of Commerce, Rotary Club, whatever kind of events are for, the vertical you service. I had one guy last week or the week before, but he's like, well, we're involved in nonprofits. I need help creating a list. So I Googled nonprofit networking opportunities in North Jersey. And I sent him 3 different links. I'm like, hey, you might be able to go to some of these and see what you can find. But when you get more targeted like that, all the different forms of business development, whether it's, word of mouth referral, pay-per-click, SEO, lunch and learns, all of them within there. That's where you're going to find those contact information. Then the next step of it is you got to let them know how they're relevant to you or how you're relevant to them. I mean, what's the value? Do they even need something like you? Maybe they don't, but it has to be consistent. This is why TV commercials are still on. I mean, it's just a regular occurrence. Geico's 15 minutes or less can save you 15%,
Right.
It's just, or the Gecko. I mean, it's consistent. We all know that's out there.
Yep.
But they have billion-dollar ad budgets. We don't. So we got to recreate that same thing, but on a smaller scale. And that's where things like, social automation, blog automation, email drips, this is going to push that consistency out. But unlike the Geicos that are just screaming from the rooftops, now you can be more targeted with the people that you're trying to get. So if you know those verticals are target, and you have maybe 4 or 5 different lead gen or business development opportunities to go out there and meet with them, now you're only putting the people that you want to stay in touch with in front of your content on a regular basis.
Yep.
And then the best of the bunch, that's who you reach out to get appointments with and determine if there's opportunity. So it's just a slow funnel.
Yeah. You brought up an interesting point of, like a Geico or really any major organization, and in regards to them having $1 million budget and the fact that they have enough money to have that repetition. We know repetition is the mother of skill. It builds that brand awareness. We need to see that ad multiple times in order for it to truly connect with us, and in order for us to be able to take action, convert, become a client, and so on. But is it wrong to think that we can do the same thing, but at a much smaller scale? We just shrink that down into a smaller universe in our own little community and the right community, and still achieve similar results. Maybe not, exactly the same, but enough that it's, it's similar from a results perspective.
Yeah, I don't see why not, because it's the same idea, but on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
We're staying in front of the people, instead of blasting out to 1 million there, hoping a couple will come my way, I'm blasting out to the few, hoping I'll get a percentage of those.
Yeah.
It's just everything on a much smaller scale.
Yeah.
But again, you don't have to take forever to build this thing, which is why don't let perfect get in the way of good.
Yes.
Just start with some things, get them up and going. You're not going to build a 10-piece growth stack on day one. You might have 2 or 3, and then you add a 4th and a 5th, and this and that, and you swap out as you go.
Yep.
But you got to keep that level of consistency with it. Since I've been here, I've had a drip email go out once every 14 days and a social post Monday through Friday nonstop, and I'm not lifting a finger for any of it.
Okay. That's
consistency. Yeah, and I my manual stuff is for the hottest ones that need taken care of today.
Yeah.
I let the software do the rest for the others.
Yeah. Think about it. We're in a technology industry, and we should be leveraging those type of tools to make us more efficient in being able to deliver, our marketing. And, and I think become overwhelmed is a challenge for most MSPs. So far you've talked about SEO, pay-per-clicks, email marketing campaigns. You've thrown out quite a few things. How do MSPs avoid becoming overwhelmed with all these scattered solutions today?
So one of the things that I spoke of when I gave this presentation was we were out at a trade show. And at the end of it, I'm like, I know everybody has a phone in their pocket and it has a calendar.
Yep.
Pull them out now. Whatever your flight is, for 20 minutes before, block some time off. So when you're sitting there at the gate, I want you to look at next week and think, where can I shut everything down for 30 minutes here and just totally dedicate to this, save it right on top of my desktop so it's front of mind. It's out of sight, it's always out of it.
Right.
Like this is where you can start to, you got to have a plan. Have something blocked off each week, whether it's every Friday at 4 because nobody wants to do anything then. That's when I'm going to look at my growth stuff for the next week and come up with my plan. But the first step is getting into that consistent routine and motion. Because if you're not going to do that, whatever you get afterwards, it's not going to, it doesn't matter. So, but consolidating as much as you can into one place, like a solution like ours.
Yeah.
It's easier because there's less stuff to break, if it's all melded together. And I think we've seen in the world that consolidation in the right way can work really great. Look at Walmart. I can go to Walmart and buy a jar of mustard, a tire, a television, and stick of deodorant. Or I could make 4 different trips. There's one trip.
Yeah.
And when you're going to connect, the CRM should be the single source of truth. So if you're going to have, multiple, 5+ things hooked up to it, something breaks down, what's it going to do for something else? When you only have one thing to sink into there, less likelihood. So that's less time that you'll need to spend fixing things, which is good, which allows you for more time for everything else. But I think when you have that consolidation, it makes it easier. It's easier to get into a routine. It's easier to divide responsibilities, to know who has to do what. And now a plan can come together. And it always helps to work with people as well. If just like an MSP's client, they know they're not good at tech, so they enlist an MSP. If you don't have an in-house marketing person that's aces, this is where you leverage other companies like ours. And there's a lot of companies out there that do a good job. Yeah. I always try to approach it from an educational aspect because the more you know what you're going into, the easier it is to see things unfold.
Yeah. And we sell our services as managed service providers, as a comprehensive solution for a reason, right? And, as we're looking to augment or outsource components of our own businesses, we need to have that same mindset. What are some strategies that an MSP can use in their growth stack to ensure that it's cohesive and not redundant?
So whenever I'm doing a demo, I always kind of get a list of what are you using today here? Because I need to line that up against what we have. And if there's redundancies in there, it's like, all right, well, we do A, B, C, and D, and I see that you got A, D, and F. All right, maybe we can cut the A and D out there because we don't have F and we got everything else.
Yeah.
So I do a side-by-side comparison. And even when I'm talking to them, like, well, I have this, I have something for lists, something for email, something for social, and they have a whole bunch of different things around, and sometimes they're not even using some of them. All right, you're just cutting a check for the sake of cutting a check.
Yeah.
I don't even think they know something else. Because I'll get some way through, like, I have this here or that, and they work with a lot of different platforms. It's not that they just don't know. It's like when you have so many bits and pieces of information flowing around, it can sometimes get lost a little bit. Yeah, there's so many different tools out there today as opposed to 10 years ago, especially within this space. I've seen so much grow within the last 3 years. I think something that takes a lot of their time is that there's so much on their plates, not even just with the growth stack, but everything else. And I think the more that you can kind of take away from that, take some of the pressure off, free up a little bit of the time, and have more of a clear, concise plan, the better off you're going to be for it.
Yeah.
I
think too, it's I think nearly impossible for an MSP that is in their business versus on their business to even think about tackling all of this.
Right.
Because, they're so entrenched in the day-to-day. If they're actually working on tickets, or they're, struggling because they don't have policies and procedures in place. And, and they're working with their technicians, whatever the case may be. There's just always something going on. Trying to do this on their own is nearly impossible in that aspect. And then even if you are on your business, you have identified that you can be more effective by letting go of things, by
Delegate.
whether it be outsourcing, delegating, and it gives you that ability to say, I can be more effective by putting this in place, and this in place, and this in place, and managing and making sure all those things are working rock solid. And yes,
I just spoke with a guy last week, and he's like, I finally have a general manager now. He goes,
Yeah.
I'm done with tickets. He goes, I don't close. Like, I own the company. I'm not closing any more tickets out. He goes, I finally got things running. He goes, I just want to go do sales. Well, out to the different places I go, my friend, I go, that is the position that you aim to be at. I go, congratulations, number one.
Yeah.
I go, because if you're, the owner of the MSP, you're still closing out tickets. There's other bigger problems at stake. Like, you need more people.
Right.
Like, before you can grow to get to that point, there's other internal infrastructure that needs to be taken care of.
Yeah.
Because the owner of the company should be focused on sales, and making sure their employees have the day-to-day that they need, the resources. The owner should be the chief sales driver in there. Now, there's people underneath that drive them too, but they got to be in there at some point in time, not closing tickets, or it should be on the vision. Hey, what's the next 5 years going to look like? How do we prepare for that? Not I fixed your computer and we're good to go. Now, someone's out or, vacation or issues. Yeah, I get it. There's always extenuating circumstances.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. I
you got to
mean,
get to that point first.
I did a podcast interview a few weeks ago with a MSP that hired an operations manager that he had never had in place. And he just, that was a breakthrough for him. It gave him the ability to truly focus on being on his business, helping to drive sales in the organization. And, it's just those little things that make a substantial difference in the growth of the business. And, and I've heard someone say that, there is no better salesperson than the owner of the MSP themselves. And, that's not to say that you can't hire effective salespeople, but I think there's just this connection of an MSP owner to
it's your baby.
Of, yeah, it's your baby.
It's yours. You made it. No one is going to have that glow about it than you, the owner of it.
Yeah, that passion. People see that.
Absolutely.
And, you can still hire people to be effective, but when a business owner sees that, you develop a connection with that person. It's unlike anything else. And they, that really helps to differentiate yourself. I've
even seen that. I'll be out at a show there and talking, and if I'm with Harbinger or something, and there's another owner, because he knows, all right, hey, we're two owners. Like, we understand the trials and tribulations we've been through. Yeah. Like, it's just an instant connection,
Exactly. And you mentioned the word getting lost about something completely different, and it got me thinking about just all the marketing communication that's out there and the use of video to capture the attention. Tell me a little bit more about how video content can help perform better in our industry.
I would say since about 2020, video has been really ramping up, and it's the bite-sized ones too. I mean, you could get stuck scrolling on TikTok or something for an hour. You're like, crap, what did I do with that last hour? It's a little dopamine hits, We're addicted to them. Yeah. But when you have those little bite-sized pieces out there, one, you want to keep them educational. Short, sweet, and simple, inconsistent, like everything else, whether it be social, email, mail or whatnot, but be consistent with them. But you see a lot more of it in LinkedIn now. Videos coming through, even if it's just a little blurb or something here, but it's everywhere. Because, lines on a piece of text versus a whole human emoting, what they're trying to get out to you. It's just an easier way to consume and digest more, quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. It captures our attention a way that, text cannot. And,
Yeah, more creative.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and when you mentioned 2020, we should all be extremely comfortable being on video. Thanks to, if we find such a positive that came from a pandemic, thanks to that, because we lived on it every day. I mean, that is how we communicated. And the fear of being on video or jumping on and going live and talking about your business, talking about solutions should be gone.
Right.
And even if it's not, just do it. People connect with people that are personable, are human. You might make a mistake. It's okay.
Yeah.
You will become better, and you used the line earlier about don't let perfect get in the way of good. And I love that one, because I use this a lot, but Guy Kawasaki, Apple evangelist, one of the things that he used to say a lot is don't worry, be crappy. And, that doesn't mean put something bad out, but it means just get it out there and work to perfect it. Because if you wait until it's perfect, your competition is going to surpass you, and they're going to capture opportunities that you won't because you were waiting for the right time.
Oh, absolutely. I have someone I'm working with right now, and we're trying to combine some stuff, but the way all these different workflows and inputs are coming down, I'm like thinking, how often are you really going to look at that? Like, and really dig into that. And that's the letting perfect get in the way of good. Like, just get some stuff out there, and you get some deals coming in. Nobody's going to care. You're just going to keep going about it then. Because when there's money coming in, people don't mind. Processes and everything, they're important, to operate, but they're focused on more when the business isn't coming in. Yeah. Winning cures all. It does.
Yeah. Let's talk about AI. AI obviously, just a little buzzword these days, right?
Yeah.
A little bit. I think going back almost a couple of years, ChatGPT really took this term AI, and made it real for us. It made it, and that's just a facet of what AI is, right? But it helped us to see how AI can, be incorporated into our daily lives. But how, what are some practical ways that an MSP can start integrating AI into their marketing process? And, and do you guys leverage these kind of tools as well?
Yeah, so we do. On our channel side, we have an AI component in our bridge platform for PRM, which we'll talk about on another one of these calls. But on the MSP side, we have a component of it within our content library. It's still being developed, so it's hopefully within the next month or two. Okay. But I don't know if it's going to be ChatGPT is the underlying piece for it or something else. But we stopped creating new content added in the library. So we got around 3,000 some pieces. There's quite a bit, and there's only so many ways you can talk about backup and disaster recovery. So what this AI component is going to allow us to do is just to recreate it right within. Now it's not syndicated. It's more unique for your company. Can put different things in there, and less work to do. You already have a piece that's done. Re-summarize, more personal, save it then. So basically, it allows you to create content on the fly with it. So that's the piece that we're coming out with. But as far as leveraging it, though, there's a lot of different things you can do. I mean, anything that you can have some type of automation in could leverage AI, in theory. Yep. But where I see it coming out, cold outreach, I've used ChatGPT a couple of times, and I'd be typing up something. I'm like, it just doesn't sound right. And now in the world of, remote work, I just don't walk down the next office. Hey, how's this sound? So I'll go into ChatGPT and I'm like, rewrite it for this. And if I don't like that, I'll throw something else in to see what it comes up with.
Yep.
But like anything, AI is a tool. It's just like a hammer or a saw. It's not a replacement.
Exactly.
And it helps when you know the subject matter too. So like I couldn't go on there and ask AI to write me a JavaScript. I don't even know what that is, but so I wouldn't know if it's right or wrong with the output.
Right.
Like,
just take that code and run it.
Yeah. Hope for the best.
Yeah.
But if I ask it to write me some prospecting questions for MSPs, I'd be like, okay, those were good. Yeah, that one was bad. I'll get rid of that. Like, okay, I like what they said there. You gotta know that subject matter. If I'm building a new house, I wouldn't just buy a bunch of hammers and nails and like somebody has to swing them, and use them.
Right.
So you have to, that's what the AI is there for. But cold outreach, I've seen it in some chatbots now to help with lead generation. People come onto the website. If they're talking with somebody, that chatbot can turn into a contact and push it to them. Now you have somebody to reach out with afterwards. That was kind of a cool item that I either want to build or buy. So
right.
But because I think that can be used for a lot of folks. But
yeah, it's a starting point sometimes, right? I mean,
right. It's the good.
We sit there at looking at a blank page, and and we just need a little push to be able to get some inspiration, some ideas. And it doesn't mean that it's generating something for you. There's times where I'll throw something in and saying, what I'm trying to accomplish is this. This is the messaging that I'm trying to get across. This is the tone that I want to get across. These are the points that I want to have. So, genuinely, it's still you. It's just providing you, with some content to be able to work through. And I mean, there's never been a time where, I would work with ChatGPT and just say, do this, grab it and go. I'm still going to make it unique and make it me.
You got to QC it a bit.
Yeah, definitely. So as we wrap up, I'd love, for any of our audience members that aren't familiar with Mindmatrix, if you could give us a 30-second elevator pitch of what is Mindmatrix.
So our Advantage program, we create a well-rounded growth stack. It's the planning, the content, the actual delivery platform with email drips, social automation, blog, landing pages, but also step-by-step sales playbooks to reach out to people. And then we can integrate into your CRMs. And then what I feel is the most important piece of it, that human help and guidance through our concierge and consulting teams. Okay. We can give you everything you need, but if you don't know how to deploy it or what to do with it, it's not going to help you. So when you have somebody helping you with the busy work and somebody guiding you for success, much better result at the end of it.
Excellent. Are there any special promos that you guys have available for our audience that you'd like to make them aware of?
Yeah. So anybody involved with Everything MSP, now till the end of the quarter, 10% off any of the licensing, and that's for as long as you're with us too. And then increased concierge time. We have two different levels of programs, but regardless of which one it is, you get an additional 3 hours per month on top of what already comes with it.
Okay.
Less money, more help.
Nice. For our audience members, if you want to learn more about Mindmatrix, of course, if you are on the Everything MSP site, you can search for Mindmatrix. You get directly learn more about them. You can schedule a demo. You can contact them directly from our site, making it easy for you. Are there other methods you'd like to share for any of our audience that are trying to seek out Mindmatrix?
Yeah, you can call me directly, email, website, LinkedIn. I mean, we're easily found.
Excellent. All right. Marketing. I love these conversations about marketing because it's an area that I'm very passionate about, and I love talking with others about this. We could go on for hours, but
there's no shortage of
a lot of stuff to do.
Right? Content on this topic.
Exactly. So with that being said, I thank you so much. Is there any final parting words from you?
Yeah, final piece to leave you with here. Just keep it simple with it. Create a routine, certain time of the week where you plan out next week, get that routine, a little bit at a time, just keep it simple. Leads, consistency, reach out to the best. Simple funnel.
Excellent.
And give
Eric,
it time.
thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. For all of our audience out there, thank you for being here today with us. As always, until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.
Take care, Dan. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to The Stack.